I will take you places you have never been. I will show you things you have never seen. And I will see the life run out of Haunted Phosphorescence. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Throw Smiley, and I did invite you here to talk about sidewalks. Who's joining me?
I'm Josh Cece, and if you want to make love to me, you'll have to hurry.
I'm Brian Leshin. I don't know if I'm reaping or sowing.
Do I sound like Newt Rockney? I'm Alaric Weber.
You do, Al.
Kinda.
Yeah. This is Haunted Phosphorescence. It's our yearly Spooktober episode. Every time I say Spooktober in front of Judy, it's like, please stop.
I know, corny as shit.
I know. So I do it more because that's what
we literally celebrate corn on this show.
Corn, and it's corn. Ooh, corn chowder.
Oh, that's true. That's a good chowder.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of chowder talk on this episode. Corn.
Yeah, I'm gonna slip in and out of a New Englander accent.
Corn, potato, clam, any kind of chowder, I'm down for.
Dead ocean milk.
Yes. So
that's Kristen Bell. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So normally this is harmless phosphorescence. Right now it's haunted phosphorescence. We're doing four count 'em episodes of scary movies this October. This is our first one. We'll be following up next week with another one. I'll tell you what it is at the end. You got to listen to the whole thing. No, you can't just skip to the end to find out. God damn it. This show is brought to you by patrons. Patrons like executive producers Michael Beckwith and Atticus Burkett. You can be a patron too. Go to patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. We got bonus content there. Star Wars shows, music shows we just recorded, and it'll be up. It'll actually, by the time you hear this, it will have been posted. Our September monthly movie is Josie and the Pussycats, and it was a lot of fun. If you haven't seen that movie, or you haven't seen it since like 2001, definitely watch it again. It was a lot of fun revisiting that. That is on patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. This week on Haunted Phosphorescence, we're watching 1981's Ghost Story.
I will take you places where you have never been.
Just a start.
I will show you things that you have never seen.
Beginning.
And I will see the life run out of you.
Long ago, on a cold, dark night, in this peaceful New England village, something happened. Something too terrifying to remember. Something too frightening to forget. Something that has remained a secret until now.
Is anyone else seeing things? Am I the only one having nightmares?
Universal Pictures presents Fred Astaire, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., John Houseman, Ghost Story, from the terrifying best-selling novel by Peter Straub.
Who is this? He's found a picture of her. That's not possible.
The girl, the men, the evil, the silence.
Dad, I'm telling you, something happened. I'm telling you something. I think he may have been murdered.
The house, the fear, the nightmares, the vengeance, the terror, the truth.
Not now, Rick.
The hat.
Yes. Now. Something's happening. Something terrible. I fear that more of us are going to die. No, we must talk about it.
She is not the person you think she is. Who are you?
Oh, please, let's not stop.
She's worried you have the wrong idea about her. Everything about her is wrong.
No, please let me talk about her.
Get away from her, Dave. What are you? She's dangerous.
Listen to me, please.
Soon they will learn that they have never been forgiven. Ghost Story. The time has come to tell the tale.
Ghost Story.
Wow, I guess I didn't catch that it was the Peter Straub. Now I know exactly what this is.
Mhm.
Peter Straub collaborated with Stephen King a few
Yes.
times, the Talisman being the most famous. But now I actually know.
Yeah.
I remember this now. It's like one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, Peter Straub, he was, a pulp horror writer in the vein of Stephen King, and like you said, they collaborated most famously on The Talisman. He was he was from Milwaukee, so Milwaukee's really into Peter Straub, but he just died. Wow. Peter Straub just died 2 weeks ago as of this
Holy shit.
recording. September 4th, 2022.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
But I remember seeing this on. My grandfather was a huge pulp horror fan, and I remember seeing this on the show. Now that I put it all together,
right on. Yeah, no.
And didn't they also do Dance Macabre together?
Yeah. I think he had some stories with Dance. Dance Macabre was a short story.
Yeah, it was a
collection of short-
compilation.
Yeah. I think he might.
And then
have
there
had-
was the Bachman books.
Oh yeah, that was just Stephen
just
King.
him.
That was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Stephen King. Other than this, Peter Straub's most famous novel was probably Julia. That was a big one. This was a big hit for him, obviously. That's why they made it. Oh, Coco. That one was about an ape. Coco. I forgot about that. Yeah.
KO, right?
KO, Coco. That one I read also. I remember liking that
I grabbed
one.
that one.
Peter Straub, Stephen King, and there was another one. It began with a D. Those were like the three pulp horror writers I read a lot in the 80s.
Dean Koontz.
Dean Koontz. Yes, that's the one.
Al.
Were you going to say Dean Koontz, Al?
I did say Dean Koontz.
Okay.
But muted.
Damn
I
it.
read his lips.
It's like Jeopardy. You didn't click the button fast enough. Yeah.
I read a lot of Dean Koontz in high school. It goes down real easy, like one bus ride.
Yeah,
That's a novel.
Dean Koontz is like thinly veiled middle-aged lady porn. It's like so fast and so easy to take down.
So, but Ben Affleck was the shit in Phantoms.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So that's a Kevin Smith line.
So all right, Ghost Story was released December 18th, 1981. It's a Christmas movie. Running time of 110 minutes. It cost $13.5 million, and it made $23.4 million. So not exactly a hit, but not a disaster either. It was right at the beginning of the VCR era, so I have a feeling it might have eventually made its money back on home video, if I had to guess. So normally, we have trouble doing the box office top 10 for movies prior to about 1983 or so, but I found myself a Kindle book that has the box office for every week from the 40s through the 80s.
Oh, those were a series of books. What were they called?
I could tell you.
Mr. Somethings.
It's I can tell you. It was a. There's one for each decade, so I had to buy it, but I might have to buy other ones. It's not Mr. Something. It's the U.S. Damn it.
I'm thinking of something different.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, it's not. Doesn't have a name. It's the U.S. Weekly Top 10 film charts of the 1980s.
So you only get the top 10.
You only get the top 10. If you want to know number 11, you're fucked. But with that, guys, you ready to play the box office top 10 game?
Yes.
I will be reading the description of the top 10 movies of the week of December 18th, 1981 by IMDb, which IMDb owns Box Office Mojo. So I believe they are the same descriptions, if I'm not mistaken.
It's not legally binding.
No, it's not, because
Whatever you need to do.
a lot of the time I just make it up.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's things like E.T. the extraterrestrial came and visited his friend Elliot. Like,
Yeah.
like I got to change that.
Clara has been unlucky in love.
That was the sequel to E.T. That was E.T.'s Sleepover.
Sleepover.
Oh, God.
Let's all get in plastic tins.
That was when E.T. spent the night at the Neverland Ranch with Michael Jackson.
He had an ET
Yeah. Oh,
replica.
he was an E.T. replica at a certain
Yes.
point in the 90s. All right. I'm sorry, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson plastic surgery jokes are always timely. Anyways.
Always.
We're going to jump right in here. Number 10, the number 10 movie of the week of December 18th, 1981. This is interesting doing it this way because, you know, when we do the top 10 of the year, like we do on the monthly movie, a lot of the time, we've all heard of most of those movies. This one, not necessarily so when it's the top 10 of these old years. So number 10.
Be warned.
Number 10 this week. During a high-profile mafia testimony case in California's Riverside County, a hired killer checks into a hotel room near the courthouse, while his depressed next-door neighbor wants to commit suicide due to marital problems.
Does this have Charles Grodin in it?
No, but it stars... I want to watch this movie. It stars Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. Walter Matthau is the killer. Jack Lemmon is the suicidal next door neighbor.
Wow.
And judging by the clips running here on IMDb, it's just a wacky Jack Lemmon trying to get Walter Matthau to kill him, and Walter Matthau being like, "I'm not gonna do it."
Grumpy old serial killers.
Grumpy middle-aged men.
Yeah, I guess they were
True.
probably in their 50s at this point. It's the tagline is "The greatest movie buddies of all time are back." It's
Not
called
helpful.
It's called Buddy Buddy.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I thought I knew all of their movies.
yeah. I had no idea. I guess they must have done a lot more movies together than I realized. Number 9 this week. The wife of a murdered petrochemical company chairman and a banker investigating the liquidity of his new bank stumble upon an international financial scheme that could lead to global economic collapse. They used to just make movies about stuff. Like,
The Shaggy DA. Yeah, they didn't care if you knew what they were talking about or not.
no, they're like, we got a couple of movie stars and they're doing some stuff. Maybe it's going to be fun.
International financiers? Okay.
This stars Jane Fonda and Chris Christopherson.
Wow.
Oh, God. Yeah. Directed by Alan J. Pakula. Written
Yes, I
by
know this.
David Ware and Howard Cohn.
I know this.
The tagline is, "The most erotic thing in their world was money." And the
Star is bronze.
the poster has Chris Christopherson stuffing his face in between Jane Fonda's breasts. And behind them is just the New York Times like stock page.
Huh.
It's called Rollover.
Oh my God.
I know.
Like an expenditure.
Yeah, movies were crazy.
Rollover.
No, it's funny.
Because you didn't know until you were going, you know? You looked in the paper. You're like, oh, this has Chris Christopherson and Jane Fonda.
Right, and we remember like the best movies, like the best 10 to 15 movies of every year, and we're like, wow, what a great year for movies. But for every one of those, there were 20 movies like Rollover or Buddy Buddy.
Yeah, it's a great point.
At number 8 this week, for the week of December 18th, 1981, This one we actually we actually have heard of, or at least I have. I'm assuming you guys, at least some of you have too. During the Great Depression, a sheet music salesman seeks to escape his dreary life through popular music and a love affair with an innocent school teacher.
Ragtime?
No. I definitely saw this. It's been quite a long time. It stars Steve Martin and Bernadette Peters.
Okay, well, they were in The Jerk together, but didn't they also do, was it Pennies from Heaven?
Boom, that's the one. You got it. Pennies from Heaven. I definitely saw that when I was a kid, but I remember almost nothing about it.
There were a few Steve Martin vehicles that had nothing to do with him, like Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid and
right,
stuff like that.
And they weren't like Pennies from Heaven. I don't think it was really a comedy either.
Is it like a pseudo musical almost?
Yeah,
he's like a gumshoe, right? No, that's in Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
He's
but anyways, yeah.
At sheet music.
Yeah, sheet music salesman.
Yeah.
Door to door.
Yeah. At number 7, when a prosecutor leaks to a Miami reporter that a liquor wholesaler, this is what I'm saying. They just made movies about stuff.
Liquor wholesaler.
A liquor wholesaler is suspected in the murder of a union head. The man's life begins to unravel.
Beverage Depot.
This stars Paul Newman and Sally Field. So, okay. What? There were so many movies that we don't know about that these people made that we only.
Well, and including Ghost Story, these are actors. Every movie you've mentioned was not really a nobody.
No, these are all very famous people.
Even Ghost Story.
This fucking has Paul Newman and Sally Field as the stars.
All right.
There's a lot of text on this poster. I'm going to try to read it to you. Suppose in America, can a man be guilty until proven innocent? Suppose you picked up this morning's newspaper. This is all on the poster. Suppose you picked up this morning's newspaper and your life was a front page headline and everything they said was accurate, but none of it was true. The DA, the feds, and the police set her up to write the story that explodes his world. Now he's going to write the book on getting even.
And liquor wholesaling is in there?
You're muted, Brian.
Accurate, but not true.
Yes.
That sounds like some Trump speak, right?
Yeah, right. This is directed by Sidney Pollack.
Huh.
Holy shit, man. All these movies.
Yeah. Alan Pakula. This is...
I've heard this title before, actually, but this is the first I really know. This is called Absence of Malice.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
I have heard that title before, but at the end. At number 6 this week, a young black pianist becomes embroiled in the lives of an upper-class white family, set among the racial tensions, infidelity, violence, and other nostalgic events of early 1900s New York City.
Nostalgic events, all right.
Young, beautiful, passionate, and scandalous. She was America, is the tagline. Directed by Milos Forman, starring James Cagney. It's 1981, and this movie stars James Cagney and Elizabeth McGovern. Wow, I forgot about Elizabeth McGovern.
I had to.
Mandy Patinkin's in this. You actually and Mary Steenburgen. You actually mentioned this movie a little while ago, Josh. A little today, just a few minutes ago. You mentioned this movie.
It's not Ragtime.
It's Ragtime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ragtime. Yeah. At number 5 this week. Number 5 on the box office top 10. Military cadets take extreme measures to ensure the future of their academy when its existence is threatened by local condo developers. Oh, will the underdog American military be able to succeed?
It's condo developers. didn't realize they overlapped.
This movie I absolutely have heard of. I think probably most of us have heard of it. I don't think I've ever actually seen it. It stars George C. Scott and Timothy Hutton.
Not the
Sean
Falcon
Penn's in it.
The Falcon and the Snowman?
Nope. Tom Cruise is in it. Giancarlo Esposito is in it.
Wow.
Taps! Yes! Wow.
Damn, baby Giancarlo, too.
Right? He was probably one of the cadets.
That's before Do the Right Thing?
Yeah.
Bugging out.
Yeah, like, oh my God, like 8 years before Do the Right Thing. Number 4 this week. A radical American journalist becomes involved with the communist revolution in Russia and hopes to bring its spirit and idealism to the United States. This movie, absolutely have heard of. Warren Beatty and Diane Keaton. This was a giant hit for this year because Warren Beatty...
It's called Ruskies, yeah?
Nope, not Ruskies. Warren Beatty in the late 70s and early 80s was the biggest movie star in the world. Like, weirdly.
You're so vain.
Yeah. Let's see. It's directed by Warren Beatty. I think he won an Oscar for this. Jack Nicholson and Paul Sorvino are both in it. Maureen Stapleton. George Plimpton's in this.
I know this movie.
It is kind of like Ruskies. The name is a single word and it references Soviet Russia. Reds, yes. Which is very confusing when you're trying to Google it because there was a fucking Bruce Willis movie from like 10 years ago called Reds also. Yeah. Number 3 this week in the box office top 10. 2 generations of men find themselves haunted by the presence of a spectral woman.
Smokey and the Bandit.
when the son of one of the elderly men returns to his hometown after his brother's mysterious death, they attempt to unravel her story. That one obviously is Ghost Story. It opened at number 3. Number 2 this week. Opening at number 2 this week. So this is opening up against Ghost Story. Opening at number 2 this week. This is a movie I have never heard of. Wow. After he's demoted to Vice after a bus goes terribly wrong, a cop and his team stumble across a mob murder tied to prostitution and government. I have never heard of this movie. This looks insane. The poster is crazy. Directed and starring Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds directed this and starred in it.
Starkey's Machine?
Sharky's Machine.
Oh, Sharky's Machine.
Sharky's Machine. Yeah. This is the first time I'm hearing about this movie. Wow. 1981 was crazy. And the number 1 movie opening at number 1 this week. This is
1 year into the Reagan era, a lot of these movies, like government financiers and unions and interesting. These are very Reagan era movies.
Yeah, definitely.
Themes.
Yeah, definitely. Number 1 this week, a movie which I have opinions on. Sorry. A quiet man's peaceful suburban lifestyle is threatened by the new obnoxious couple that moves in next door.
Neighbors.
I
like that movie.
I like that movie, but John Belushi should not play the straight man.
I mean, that was the whole experiment of it.
I don't think it worked personally. I mean, I do like that movie.
I'll have to look at it again, but there's an obnoxiousness to Dan Aykroyd that he pulls off well in that movie.
I mean, absolutely. That's
I don't think I'd seen a single one of those movies except for Ghost Story last night.
Wow.
Huh.
I've seen 1, 2, 3. I've seen 3 of them.
Yeah, Taps is the only one that I vaguely remember anything from.
I've seen Reds. I've seen Sharky's Machine.
I've heard of Reds, Taps, Ragtime, but I've never seen any of those 3.
For sure.
Yeah. That is the box office top 10. That brings us to the film production. This movie, as we said, was based on the book by Peter Straub. It was written by Lawrence D. Cohen. They purchased the rights for this right after it got published, so there's not a whole lot of backstory to it. They it's a big Hollywood movie. They purchased the rights to a big popular bestseller. They put their staff writer Lawrence Cohen on it. He also wrote Carrie, the Tommy Knockers. He was like their horror movie guy, it seems like.
They're David Esquire.
Yeah. Let's see. They're David Esquire. He wrote a bunch of stuff for Nightmares and Dreamscapes from the stories of Stephen King. It seems like that was really his oeuvre there. The Tommy Knockers and an adaptation of the musical South Pacific. Go Lawrence.
I'm gonna wash that ghost right out of my hair.
It was directed by John Irvin.
Not John Irving.
Not John Irving.
Famed New England resident John Irving.
Yeah. John Irvin. He's probably most famous for directing Hamburger Hill in 1987. He also did 1980's The Dogs of War. He did the 1991 Robin Hood, not the Kevin Costner one. The one starring Patrick Bergen and Uma Thurman, which they put out to counter the Kevin Costner one.
It was their tombstone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he did a lot of stuff throughout the years we may have heard of. Free Fall in 1994, Widow's Peak.
I remember Widow's Peak.
Yeah. His nothing super successful. His last movie was 2016 Mandela's Gun, which was about Nelson Mandela.
See, that's funny. I don't remember Mandela having a gun.
Yeah. He famously didn't fight much.
That's fine. There's a Mandela effect joke.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. It stars Fred Astaire, the second best member of the Fred and Ginger dance team.
Yep. No, I love Fred Astaire. You gotta love him. I mean, it's absolutely true. Ginger was probably more talented, but you know.
Yeah, backwards and
back when like dancers were men.
Yeah.
He's incredibly charming.
They were. I'm not joking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, always.
All 4 of these Chowder Society dudes are like there's a reason these guys were movie stars for
all
50
the
years.
Chowder heads.
The Chowdas. Yeah. But Fred Astaire, I mean, if it's Fred Astaire. He's one of the most famous figures of the 20th century film.
He's the most emotionally relatable character.
Absolutely.
Ricky. There's even times where it looks like he's got watery eyes. Now, I don't know if that's just for being in his 80s but there's emotion coming out of that character as opposed to the other old men.
Right. Yeah. Fred Astaire was born in 1899, by the way.
That's why I love his character's line, sidewalks changed the world.
No, it's oh my God, you remember before sidewalks.
That's we were the sidewalk.
Yeah, some of if you've never watched an old Fred Astaire movie, you should. Holiday Inn is great. Easter Parade, Bandwagon, Funny Face. Great movies.
Yeah, he's captivating.
Absolutely. John Houseman as Sears James. John Houseman. He was probably best known for collaborating with Orson Welles, or for our generation, maybe best known for working with the Muppets. It's a real big Muppet week.
And he plays himself in Scrooged.
Yeah.
He's the old British guy in a chair telling a story. Like, at least for our age, if you're the four of us, if you're conjuring up that image, it's John Houseman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big smoking jacket and a leather chair.
Yeah. As an actor, some of his more famous older roles were like The Paper Chase, Blue Dahlia. He was famously a producing partner of Orson Welles. He produced Citizen Kane. And let's see. Oh, he did the famous commercials in the 80s for Smith Barney. Where I was talking about like being like reliability. Like that's probably where I first heard his voice. But yeah.
His last two movies were Scrooged and The Naked Gun.
Oh my God, I forgot he was in that.
He was in Naked Gun too.
Yeah. He was in Rollerball, 3 Days of the Condor. He was in My Bodyguard. Oh my God, the original My Bodyguard. He was in Bright Lights, Big City. What the fuck?
Bright Lights, Big City, the cocaine movie.
Yeah, with yeah.
Michael J. Fox. Right?
Michael J. Fox. Yeah, exactly.
James.
Melvin Douglas as
awesome.
Yeah, as Dr. John Jaffrey. Melvin Douglas. Ninochka was his breakout. He starred in that with Greta Garbo. He was a youngster born in 1901. John Houseman. Oh, was the youngest. He was born in 1902. But yeah, Melvin Douglas. Ninochka with Greta Garbo was kind of his big hit. He was in The Changeling in 1980, which was also a good early 80s horror film.
It is cool.
Yeah,
Clint Eastwood remade it.
Yeah, he was in Bean there in 1979, which is a crazy
one of the greatest films of all time.
Yeah, that movie's crazy. Peter
It's
Sellers.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Chauncey Gardner. Yeah.
Yep. God. So yeah, Melvin Douglas has a gigantic filmography. He was in he was a student. He was back in the days in the 30s and 40s where actors just belonged to a studio and they put you in 10 movies a year. So it just goes on and on. The Wiser Sex, The Vampire Bat, The Old Dark House, Women in the Dark, The People's Enemy, Mary Burns, Fugitive. It's you may know me from such films as I Met Him in Paris, I'll Take Romance, and There's Always a Woman, which are all real movies Melvin Douglas was in.
This was his last movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked like he was on the edge. Every time he woke up from a nightmare, I felt like
he died in 1981.
During filming.
Yeah, during filming. He did not survive the filming of this movie.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't either, but he died in 1981 before it was released. Douglas Fairbanks Jr. Edward was the name of his character, Mayor Edward. Prisoner of Zenda, Gunga Din, the Corsican brothers. He was, Douglas Fairbanks Sr.
Wait, not Cheech and Chong's Corsican brothers.
No.
A serious version.
That's why there's
Corsican brothers.
Yeah, theirs was a parody of the 1941 Corsican brothers.
His father, you may know from The Mask of Zorro, which is what the Waynes were watching.
The Gay Blade.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I love that they updated it to that.
Yeah, Douglas Fairbanks Sr. started out in silent films.
There was no sound.
Yeah. His dad's first his dad was one of the original first movie stars. It's starting in 1915. And Douglas Fairbanks Jr. was a second wave of movie stars in the latter days of the 30s and 40s.
He was a whippersnapper.
Oh God, yeah. Craig Wasson played Don and David. He just put on a fake mustache to be the twin.
It's like evil Abed.
Craig Wasson. His first movie was Roller Coaster in 1977. He played Hippie Boy.
On a roller coaster.
We've seen him before in Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors.
Yep, he was the doctor. He was the psychiatrist, Dr.
Nightmare
Neil
3.
in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. This is the second movie we've done with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a newish actor whose name I don't know that looks exactly like him. There's no relation out, I'm sure, but
every time I looked at him, I saw like Breckin Meyer.
Oh.
He looked like Breckin Meyer and Logan's Run dude.
Oh yeah, he did kind
Peter
of.
York.
Yeah.
His final movie was 2006, where he starred in Sasquatch Mountain.
Well, that's an easy way to find Bigfoot. Just go to that fucking mountain.
It's like, you may know me from such films as Schizoid, New Alcatraz, Sasquatch Mountain, and Malcolm X. He was in Malcolm X. Oh God. So all right. Alice Krieg, starring as Eva / Alma. Alice Krieg, probably best known to a ton of people as the Borg Queen, from Star Trek Generations, or I'm sorry, Star Trek First Contact, not Generations.
I don't remember, but is it made clear why she uses a different name in this movie? Why she uses two names?
No. Well, if
I didn't think so.
When you're a ghost setting up, I have a lot of questions about this, but when you're a ghost setting up a false identity, you don't want to use your real name.
No, Columbia House will catch on.
I have so many questions, so many unanswered questions about her and her fake identity she set up in Florida.
Yeah, getting and maintaining employment.
So many questions. Alice Krieg, though, she was in Chariots of Fire. I mean, those are probably her biggest ones. She did a ton of movies. She was in Sleepwalkers, Reign of Fire, Silent Hill.
John Carpenter, Sleepwalkers?
Yeah.
I like
I
that
believe
movie.
so, yeah. 1992, John Carpenter's Sleepwalkers.
Yep.
She was in the Thor: The Dark World.
Oh, that's right.
Was she a dark elf or something?
Ear. I don't remember who
Ear.
that character is.
She was a
Year.
is a Valkyrie. She was one of the she was in a.
She's one of the attending nurses,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
When they're pulling the whatever out of Natalie Portman.
Yeah, she was just in the recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake too.
She's in Picard.
Such high hopes.
As the Borg Queen.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, which is great. She
I haven't finished
also
it.
voiced the Borg Queen in the Lower Decks episode that had her.
Really?
They get all the original people to do the voices of like the famous characters in there. Riker is done by
Star Trek the
Frakes.
animated series did that.
Yeah.
That took over for the live action series.
Yeah, absolutely. Lower Decks is pretty good, honestly.
I haven't caught up on the newest season, but I'm really excited to.
Yeah, it's currently ongoing. They're like 3 or 4 episodes in, and it comes out fucking weekly because I think they air it somewhere or something. So yeah. Additionally, we got Timothy Coyote as young Ricky. He's in He was in Dragnet and Babylon 5. Mark Chamberlain as young John Jaffrey. He was in The Ward, John Carpenter's The Ward in 2011, and that was probably his biggest one. Ken Olin as young James. He was in 30-something.
Yeah, Ken Olin.
Yeah.
His long blonde hair. He was a heartthrob.
He was.
Many mothers.
He was. Patricia Neal as Stella Hawthorne, that's Ricky's wife, the one who knows nothing about her husband.
Yeah, he's even like, I'll tell you my story one day.
Yeah, it's like, I know nothing. She literally says, we've been married 32 years and I don't know anything more about you than the day we were married. It's like, this is not a good relationship, Ricky.
Yeah, but they seem loving, but yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. So she was in Breakfast in Tiffany's and The Day the Earth Stood Still. She was a real, like, well-known actress in the 50s and 60s. She was 30 years younger than Fred Astaire. So
yeah, back when just old people seemed
old.
It's
old
like when we talked about Cocoon and Wilford Brimley, that like he was 50. Yeah. We're not far from 50. That's
right.
The Brimley rule.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. That terrifies me.
It terrifies the fuck out of me. But it's like that show 30 something that you just mentioned. Like there was a time when like that was considered older.
30.
You know what I mean? Like 30 something was sort of the Big Chill TV show, and it was them dealing with, sort of like the show Parenthood or This Is Us.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't stop drinking until I was 39. Like there was no way I was responsible in my 30s.
Like no, when 30 something was on, when 30 something was on when I was alive, that was old people. That was an old people show.
Yeah, dealing with old people problems.
I think I'm older than everyone that was on Cheers.
Oh
at
my!
This point, which
holy
fucks me up.
shit! No, no,
which means all of you guys are older than the cast.
Oh
of
my
Cheers.
fucking God!
Yeah, when they were on.
Why are you doing this to me, Brian?
Right.
I am right now the age that Homer and Marge have been trapped in amber for 33 seasons.
No. They aged Homer up. They aged him up from his 30s to 41. But still, Al, Josh, and I are all older than Homer.
Really? Yeah. I know that for a long time they were 34, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, they started at 34, then they aged him to 38, and then they aged him to 41.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Bart's in fourth grade still.
One of the older actors on Cheers was, aside from Coach, was Kelsey Grammer, and right now he's 67 years old. So
oh my God!
Not even 20 years older than us.
All right. So anyways.
Yeah, that was fucked up. I know Woody's younger.
Sorry, guys.
We're around the same.
Yeah,
I
Jesus
thought
Christ.
Cliff Clavin would be older than.
Well, that was off of I didn't look at a list. I'm sorry. One of the characters you'd think of as older. I looked him up first.
Okay.
So, yeah. George Wendt was not very old. He just looked at.
Miguel Fernandez.
What was Cliff's name?
Cliff Clavin.
What was his real name?
Oh, John Ratzenberger.
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 We can continue.
Yeah. Miguel Fernandez played Gregory Bate. That's the creepy dude, which I also have questions about.
All right. John's 75 now. So you're right. I'll get off the Cheers.
So he was like in his 40s back then.
Yeah. Again, none of them were as old as you thought they were.
No.
When you were a kid.
No. Oh my God. Yeah. Miguel Fernandez is probably best known for being in Stargate SG-1. That's like easily his biggest. Oh wow. He was in. I didn't even know this. Oh my God. There was a collection of short films based on Kurt Vonnegut's Monkey House, which he was in from 1991. I did not know this existed.
Sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. Huh. Let's see. Brad Sullivan as Sheriff Hardesty. He was in The Sting and Prince of Tides. That's the guy. I think that's the guy Josh was talking about. That's like everybody knows. He was in The Untouchables, Slapshot, South Pacific.
Yeah, that guy. He's got the really big lips.
Yeah.
When he was old, they stand out because when I was a kid, there was. I can't remember what
he was in
movie, but he was like a mad scientist or something. He was like smoking
Hoosiers.
Oh wait, is he the guy that from Gremlins that gets sold the smokeless?
He's not. No. He's not in Gremlins. He was in
else.
Hoosiers.
But anyways, we all know this guy.
Yeah, The Dream Team. That Michael Keaton movie about the escaped mental patients. Tin Men.
Comedy based on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Yeah.
Nest.
Tin Men, The Untouchables, Jerky Boys, the movie.
Oh my God.
True Colors, The Abyss, Bushwhacked, Canadian Bacon. He was in everything. Yeah. That's our... That rounds up our cast. That's most of the important people. I'm not going to tell you who played the mailman. I refuse.
Cast.
I refuse to tell you who played the mailman.
What about that?
You can look it up if you're interested.
Yeah. A request of information.
Willie Lumpkin.
Yeah. Good old Willie.
Here's a hint, though. He was in The Days and Nights of Molly Dodd.
Oh my God.
And
Tom Skerritt.
Yeah, no, and actually, I will tell you, it's James Green. He was one of he was the old guy on the Pawnee City Council in Parks and Rec.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that was the mailman. It was like, hey,
the guy that keeps track of everyone's menstrual cycle.
Yes, yeah, him. Yeah. The guy who's like, hey, the mayor's wandering shoeless in his pajamas through the street in a snowstorm. I'm sure it's fine.
Like, all right, sorry about your loss.
This film was not on Siskel and Ebert. I was disappointed, but Roger Ebert did review it. He gave it 3 stars, said, if you like ghost stories, you will appreciate that they cannot be told with all sorts of ridiculous skeletons leaping out of closets as in Abbott and Costello. They must be told largely in terms of fearful and nostalgic memory. Since by definition, I'm glad he's defining what a ghost is for us. By definition, a ghost is a ghost because of something that once happened that shouldn't have happened. Ghost Story understands that and restrains its performers so that the horror of the ghost is hardly more transparent than they are. Yeah, he gave it a medium recommend.
I guess. I agree. I guess.
Yeah, like I said, this is a movie I chose because I watched it multiple times as a kid and thought it was terrifying. If I had watched it as an adult before this, I might not have chosen this movie for the podcast.
So I'll probably get to ask you later on in the movie, but was it the body horror elements?
I mean, it was. The ghosts. The creep. The corpses. I thought that was real creepy. And
the climax of this movie is one of the most disturbing, real physical effects I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, for sure. The special effects are pretty good. Actually, we should probably.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah. So this I do have, it only has 37% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is a little low. It's not a bad movie. It's just a little dry by modern standards.
I mean, how effective is the Rotten Tomatoes model with movies that are this old and that are not popular?
Exactly. I do have 2 Letterboxd reviews, which I'm going to read.
Yeah.
We tried to watch this at a slumber party in 1986. It has a few things, such as old people doing weird things and a naked guy falling out of a skyscraper. Half a star.
So that person waited for the internet to be invented.
They waited for a long time.
Yeah. I went to a sleepover in 86. Fuck this movie.
When was that review written?
April 27th, 2021.
This movie was on in the background when I was beaten up. 1 star.
And here, one more. Sex is horrifying. Nostalgia is wrong. Every generation has a group of no less than 4 guys trying to simultaneously date the same woman. 5 stars. That's about it for the background. Guys, you want to jump into the movie?
I'm going to jump out that fucking window.
I'm going to dangle all the way down.
Maybe not jump. Maybe just get startled through it.
Yeah.
You imagine they're filming that. So he was on wires naked having to go, while he flopped around.
With his dick hanging out.
Yeah.
I love how sky-rise apartments suddenly just have sugar glass panes. You know,
You can just back up into it and fall out.
I saw a trailer recently for a movie made in 2022 where like somebody punches out a car window and it shatters like an old pane of glass.
Oh my
Just
God.
like, yeah, windows. I don't think we're ever like that. But
All right. Here we go, guys. This is Ghost Story. We open on a small New England town. There's an old man.
Is this the same town as in Gremlins?
It looks
This looks
like it.
just like that shot, like
It
the
also-
establishing shot.
it's an obscure movie, but if you've ever seen Polanski's Fearless Vampire Hunters, from Polanski, but yeah, same kind of like idyllic.
Yeah.
But that plate that map that they used, I think has been used.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weird twilight, like time to
And the snow-covered little,
snow on the
village.
church. and-
Yeah. Super idyllic, like mid 20th century New England
Pastoral.
town. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one old man, that's Sears, he's pacing. 3 other old men, John, Ricky, and Edward, are having nightmares.
They are.
I was so confused with all 4 of these old men having nightmares as the way to open this movie. Like, what's happening? Is anything going to happen? Or are they
That's
just
what I
all
meant.
gonna-
It was very disparate in the
Yeah,
beginning.
they're like just sweating in bed.
No poles. There's no poles.
What if there had been like a pullout and they were all in the same bed together?
Willy Wonka style.
So-
Feet to head, nuts to butts.
As of recording right now, I am sick, tested positive for COVID. I was in bed sweating, watching this going like, man, what the fuck is happening in this movie? It
Is
was
it
even
me?
more weird.
Is it my fever?
We get a credit sequence that's so long that Jude was like, you know what I love? Long credit sequences.
I thought the movie might have been over already.
Titles were important. They came before the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think a word was said until the 4-minute mark. 4 minutes and 12 seconds was when I noticed the first word spoken.
Yeah, it took a while.
Huh.
I guess it was just a lot of mumbling.
Even the mumbling, because there was a lot of mumbling in it. Like if you put on the subtitles,
Okay, yeah, discounting the mumbling.
pulse, no pulse.
You have to if you don't discount the
No phones.
if you don't discount the mumbling, then we don't even really have a podcast.
If we don't discount the mumbling, do these old men say anything at all in this entire movie besides?
If Fred Astaire's in a box. Schrodinger's Fred Astaire.
We cut to the 4 men in a dark study. Sears is telling a ghost story. I thought as a kid, I also thought this story was terrifying. It was my first introduction to the idea of being buried alive.
That's scary shit.
So they tell each other other ghost stories, not the ghost story.
Yes, they tell each other some ghost stories, but not the story of the lady they murdered.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Because that's the ghost story that's underneath. That's
Yeah.
reality. They're trying to scare each other for years and years just to forget about how scary that real life incident was.
Yeah, that's the idea I got. I mean, they never really talked about the genesis of them telling each other ghost stories, but it's kind of hinted that
I mean, it's loosely based. Wasn't there a club or society, sort of like the Explorers Society?
I'm sure there's some yeah.
famous storytelling.
You mentioned that it's not really like explained why. I wish they had said like, oh, we tell each other these scary stories so that we are not scared of the actual scary story underneath.
Well, even what they are is said in passing. Like
Yeah.
when they're first introduced, you're sort of supposed to take it for granted, and then you find out later they have a name to this club.
Yeah, and we never hear the genesis of the name, the Chowder Society. I assume that's some sort of weird inside joke like harmless phosphorescence.
Yeah, did she
chowder is a
cook really
melange
good-
of things.
Did she cook good chowder?
Who knows?
Maybe that's why they were all chasing this tail. They were like
It's a weird New England maritime thing.
Yeah, they're like, never marry a woman that doesn't cook great chowder.
Chowder.
I don't know.
He calls
I'm
them
from the
chowder.
Southwest. I assume these are rules that parents tell their children.
There's no plot. Yeah.
Chowder. So yeah. Anyways, afterwards they all toast their group called the Chowder Society. They talk about how they haven't been sleeping well lately, then head home for the night. Then we cut to New York City. A man in a fake.
Sorry. They're all wearing bow ties.
Yes, they dress up for the Chowder Society. Ghost stories.
And
Actually,
they're talking about how someday soon men might only wear ties to weddings
and funerals.
And
I
funerals.
suppose.
and funerals.
They were right, but yeah, that old man kind of like, we used to dress like men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Up half fancy.
Well, and when we see the past, no matter what, they're wearing fucking ties and coats, no matter what situation they're in.
That's how
Which
the
isn't
aristocrats distinguish themselves.
Yeah, it's not unrealistic for New England at the time, I'm sure.
For
if you weren't poor.
For-
you
Well,
would
also
dress-
the late 70s, like dungarees and
Yeah.
those
I
hippies.
wore a bow tie the first time I walked down a sidewalk.
I was born in a boater hat.
I wore a bow tie the first time I made love to a woman unsuccessfully. Which is what ultimately this movie's about.
Spoiler alert.
Yes, it is. It's about 5 dudes who can't land it.
It's about incels. Anyways.
Kind of.
This is an incel allegory. Oh my God.
But also, yeah.
Well, and also the bros before hoes policy.
There's a lot of underlying like
Just one of you
rich
stand up.
of like upper middle class white dudes in the 20th century privilege in this movie that I definitely never caught as a kid.
I mean, Ted Kennedy
Yes.
left that girl to die in a lake in the trunk of his car.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Didn't Brendan Fraser do that too? Or not Brendan Fraser. Who's what's his face? Ferris Bueller?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, he killed somebody in a car.
yeah.
Yeah.
He in a car
That drowned in
accident.
a lake.
Yeah, I think
This is a weird common New England theme. Shit that doesn't happen in the Southwest. I'm so
Yeah,
confused.
It
there's
is
so
weird
few
when you
lakes.
look at Matthew Broderick and you're like, that dude killed someone.
yeah. It's like,
Like,
what
how
the
do you
fuck?
reckon that? And he does. He's like
Oh,
Inspector Gadget. We
and-
have to move on.
Yeah, and he's and
We
he's
must live life.
he's never really faced consequences for it. Like, what the
Oh,
fuck?
it was an ex. It was.
He's a
deemed an
rich white
accident.
guy.
And yeah, these are the city fathers. Like if you've heard that expression before,
Yes.
that's what these dudes are.
Yeah, one's the literal mayor of the town. The other is like the town's
district
biggest
attorney.
lawyer. Yeah, the
Yeah,
district attorney.
he tells the cops what to do, so he's obviously a political lawyer.
Ricky, from what I can
There's
tell,
the doctor.
is just Ricky. It's like it's
He was a dancer.
Yeah, he's a great dancer, which when dancers were men.
yes.
He was the manliest man in town.
And maybe he's not a cliche because like I said, he's one of the standout characters.
Mhm.
He seems to have the most heart.
He's the only
Absolutely.
one with empathy out of all of them.
Yeah, out of the Chowder Society.
Yeah, Ricky and Sears were the only two interesting characters. Like Edward and James were both. I mean, they were fine. They were fine characters, but they weren't
What's-
interesting.
What's the name of the twin who didn't die?
Dawn
Dawn.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Didn't
And the
die.
twin who died
was Dave.
David.
Dawn and Dave. Yeah. So, anyways, we cut to New York. A man in a fake mustache is talking to a lady lying face down in the bed, who is responding very strangely. They are having a
His
weird
tub
conversation.
Yeah, his bathtub is just overflowing, and he's like, "Who are you?
And
What are you?"
And he doesn't turn it off. Like, what happened 5
That's what I
minutes?
mean. Yeah.
What happened in the
I thought
5?
it was a dream, but then he really died.
Yeah. What
Now
happened?
what happened?
What happened in the 5 minutes prior to this? What was going on? What led to this conversation?
Yeah.
Well-
Did he get up, go to the bathroom, then come back and be like,
yeah,
Yeah.
when is this in relation to the phone call we see later on in the movie? Is
Yeah.
this that same day?
Months later, weeks later, who knows?
but they imply it's simultaneous because they imply that she was engaged to David when they had sex. Yeah, it is weird. I mean, we go on to learn that water is associated with her, but it's strange. It seems very dreamlike. Then he literally dies.
Yeah, it does seem very dreamlike. But yeah, so he turns her over. She's a decomposing corpse. And Fury backs up and trips out the window and fall of the skyscraper and falls to his death.
The thinnest glass.
Whoa! Yeah,
Wiener.
yeah, wiener a flapping. Like
Really.
so many people have died.
That's why you need to use double pane glass.
Yeah, I would think in a skyrise condo.
High-rise.
You have to request the sugar glass when you move into a condo.
I'd like something I can throw a cat through, please. Yeah, just so
Yeah, most high rises you can't open the windows for these reasons.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
since the Clapton law.
Yeah, we cut to the phone ringing, and then the same dude, except this time without the mustache.
Oh yeah.
Picks it up. This is Don, the twin brother. They were twin brothers.
I was so confused. I attribute it to a fever, but I was so confused when they showed him with a mustache and then without it. I was like, is this the same person? Are these really twins? What is actually happening?
As a kid, I didn't even realize it was the same actor when I was a kid. I just thought they were two dudes that looked alike.
They should have put glasses on mustache, dude.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Maybe it was a yeah, glasses. Exactly. Like we're in Metropolis. Is it maybe it was a creative choice, but yeah, it seems like all the exposition comes later.
Yeah. They definitely
like Brian, you're right. It was vague, the brotherhood and their relationship vague. And then later on they tell you.
They definitely
I slept with his fiance. Oh.
Yeah. Well,
he says it to his dad, but
yeah.
we have any idea what's happening.
Yeah.
He's like, I fucked his fiance.
Yeah.
We're also Eskimo brothers.
Yeah, well, which is ghost Eskimo brothers.
Yeah.
I don't think he slept with her while she was his fiance because of how it worked out. I just think yeah. But
so she's a ghost. Did she move from Florida to New York?
Or was you don't think that he slept with her while she was engaged to his brother?
No.
Yeah, was she
think they did.
simultaneously in two places at the same time?
Yeah, she's a ghost.
Yeah, she's a ghost. She could be in Florida and in New York.
She could, but I got
so therefore I think he did.
Because no, what David says to Dawn on the phone is she saw me and thought I was you. We met and hit it off, and now we're engaged.
That's true. Okay, I remember that.
So I think that because of that one conversation, I think that clarifies that it was afterwards.
Yeah, it does. I must have missed it.
I feel like this movie, if
my subtitles weren't lined up,
neither were mine. No,
edited in a different order, this movie would have made so much more sense and ultimately been a better movie.
Yeah, the exposition came where the conflict.
Well, and I mean, we see the guy fall from the window and his dong a flap, and before we have any connection with any of these characters, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, none.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and they definitely wanted. They definitely wanted it to be like a mystery that unravels before your eyes, but it was mostly just confusing.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad he died right away because that would have been an awkward conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I saw your dong, dude.
He's like,
I have an identical dong.
They're twins. I guess he's seen his dong every time he goes to use his.
We have identical dongs.
So what's that, fraternal? Or what kind of twin is that?
Al, do you and Claire have identical dongs?
Do I need to answer that question?
No.
I would.
Please don't. I'm sorry. Claire, if you're listening, I apologize.
Yeah, Claire, don't answer that.
I really, really apologize, Claire. Anyways.
Either answer is going to offend one of the Weber twins.
So, anyways, he gets the news that his brother died. His dad is Edward, mayor of the town and member of the Chowder Society.
Goes by Ned, right?
That was what?
He goes by Ned.
Was it Ned or Ed? Was it Ned?
Well, Ned can be
Ned.
Yeah, his Christian name was Edward, but he went by Ned.
He went by Ned. Okay, I kept hearing Ed, but that's me.
Well, his name is Edward. Yeah.
No, yeah, he did. They did keep saying Ned, I don't know, Ernesto and Neto.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Jack and John. Jack is.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying he wasn't going by Ned. I just heard Ed because I have bad hearing.
That's why I asked. I wasn't sure if I had heard Ed or Ned.
Yeah, no, it was me.
It's rhyming slang.
Yeah, it's Cockney rhyming slang.
It's Chowder Society. That's his gang name.
It's Chowder rhyming. His gang name is Ned.
It's a small gang in a small town. What do you
Forget about it, Jake. It's the Chowder Society. Anyways. Yeah, so he arrives home. He tells his dad that he slept with his brother's fiance, and he thinks his brother was murdered. His dad
Casually over dinner.
Yes. He pours himself half a glass of beer and then is like, so I fucked my dead brother's fiance and I think he was murdered. How are you?
Are you dead?
It's a weird conversation for family members to have at any point, let alone the first night after finding out he's dead.
And they're obviously estranged.
Yes.
Dad didn't even know about his career status.
Yeah.
Or anything.
The only conversation in this film that didn't feel weird to me were the ones between Fred Astaire and Ricky and Sears.
Don.
Talking about fucking sidewalk.
Yes. Yeah. Ricky, God, yeah. Fred Astaire was
Ricky had the most depth.
He was the best.
Yeah, when he gets off the train or plane or automobile, however he gets there, the dad's like, "You look like shit."
And he's like, "Thanks, Dad."
Immediately. Yeah.
No, he takes a Greyhound. That is definitely an old New England Greyhound
fuck
station.
yeah. Yeah. We discovered Don isn't doing well professionally as a professor or a writer. Then we cut to the funeral. Later at home, Ned's having a bad dream. David wakes him up and his dad talks about reconnecting over some fishing. That was some real like backhanded shit. Like, you're all I have left now. Should we go fishing? Like, damn, I knew the other one was the favorite brother, but fuck you, Dad. I'm all you have left now.
Having a favorite twin is such a dick move. Like, it's one thing, a lot of dads will be like, that was my firstborn son.
Yeah, but a favorite
like
fucking
twins,
twin.
like you're making a decision after. I don't know. Like, you're both identical in so many ways, but the mustache does it for me. So
If only you'd grown the mustache.
if only.
If only, yeah.
Maybe
The
a
familial.
goatee.
Yes.
He should have grown the
Van
mustache
Dyke.
starting at this point in the movie, though. That would have been even more confusing.
Yeah, it would have been.
He's like a mustache. We just see him like caring for it.
No, it's an unintentional. It's like a haunted mustache. It just is coming in no matter how much he's shaved.
He's like,
It's a ghost stash.
Ghost stash. Ghost stash rides.
ghost stash rides aren't free in this movie.
Oh, wait.
So yeah, that night the Chowder Society all have nightmares again. Ricky's woken up by his wife, who blames his nightmares on the ghost stories they tell each other. We cut to Ned, who's having a nightmare about David getting married. He wakes up early in the morning in a daze. He sees a vision of David and follows him out into a snowstorm in his pajamas to a bridge where the specter of a decomposing woman frightens him. He falls off the bridge into the icy river and dies. If everyone had just stayed away from heights, I think they could have survived this ghost just fine.
And Snowplow guy was the actual specter.
Yes.
Plow King.
Yeah, the snowplow guy. This is the first death the snowplow guy witnesses, not the last.
The worst week ever.
Yeah, he's like, I took a.
He watches the mayor die. It's like, that guy signs my paycheck. Also, the mayor died, and no one talks about the mayor being dead. They're not like, so how do we get another mayor?
Right, I was going to say, well, the town charter says whoever watches the mayor die becomes the mayor.
The snowplow's guy, like, damn it, I didn't sign up for this.
I didn't mean to see him.
Yeah, he's the mayor. And again, like I said, the postal worker who like watches the mayor stumbling through the snowstorm in obvious distress and is like, sorry about your dead son. Have a good day, mayor.
Well, you take care now.
We cut to the remaining members of the Chowder Society discussing what to do. James, the doctor, Dr. Jimmy, is taking it the worst. Ricky wants to discuss some mysterious subject with Sears, but Sears don't want to talk. We cut to Don in the basement of his dad's house, going through an old trunk. He finds a photo of the Chowder Society as young men in the 20s with a mysterious lady. Meanwhile, Ricky and Sears are discussing their bad dreams and the death of James. Ricky thinks they're connected. Sears disagrees. We cut to an old abandoned house. Ricky enters, looks around. He finds a dirty child and homeless man there. They tell Ricky they know the owner of the house. She's their friend. Ricky says no one lives there. They threaten Ricky and the town. Ricky flees. He goes to the police station, looks through mugshots.
Yeah, Brian, say it. You got something on you.
What? Who are these people? Who is this
Yeah.
man and this child?
Yeah, who are they?
How did they come into contact and business association
Do they ever
with a
explain it?
ghost?
No, they don't explain it.
Felt like I missed it.
So all
He kind of alludes to like he's dead. He's a ghost.
I don't think
But is he a ghost?
he's not a ghost. So okay, so all right. So what we find out from the cops is that him and the kid escaped from a mental institution in California. He was involved with some sort of cult,
What institution houses these age groups together?
right?
even in the turn of the century.
And that he says that he was promised immortality by the ghost lady. Those are all the things we know about this dude.
But
Okay,
first he
about
has to
masturbates.
die.
Yeah. So he's been promised to be made into a ghost by ghost lady after he dies.
Can she
How
do that?
fitting.
Because like David doesn't become a ghost and Ned
Ghosts
doesn't
lie.
become a ghost.
Yeah. Ghosts can lie. They're like the cops. They're allowed to do that.
If you're a ghost, you have to tell me.
Are you a ghost? If you are, you have to tell me.
You pull your pants down first.
Yeah, I have so many questions because this is a busy ghost lady. She's doing a lot of stuff that doesn't
my God.
involve
Frequent
ghost
flyer
work.
miles.
Right?
Yeah, she's
Well-
all over the country.
And how did it take this long?
Yes. Why is it 50 years? Did it take her? Does she
That's
have to
true.
walk? Did she walk to California to get this guy, then walk to Florida? Like,
Yeah, that's why it took so long.
but yeah, why is it happening now? And how?
You're right. Why?
How
Because
does?
they don't mention it's an anniversary of anything.
No. And how? Do,
I wish they had given us some like, because both of the boys were ready to wed or some shit like that. Like I had my in.
like something?
Yeah, she lets them live long, long lives.
Before she
You know what I mean?
takes
It's
her
like
revenge.
anytime any of them die, it's like, well, old guys die. I mean,
Yeah,
what do you
they're all
want?
in their 80s. Like,
Yeah,
Literally,
that's what happens.
one of the actors died.
You
the
can't
same year
expect
the
a
movie
dude in
was
their late
filmed.
80s to do anything but die.
do you like? And I for one think it's sad that she had to import California mental institution escapees.
Yeah.
She couldn't get some local New England mental institution escapees. Maine
I
is
drove
right
to
there.
Boston and I just picked up some guys in a bar.
This is the Reagan era. This is a fucking Reagan theme. Mental institution people from California coming to New England.
Yeah, no,
Right.
that's one of the things Reagan did was shut down the mental institutions
Yep.
and make them all homeless.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what he did.
So
Okay, I'm glad to understand and establish that these two characters are alive.
yes, they are both alive.
Craig Bate
And
Finney,
Yeah. All right.
the cross-dressing imp.
Yes. Who, by the way, we get no closure on. That was one of my questions. Where'd the kid go? Because we never see what happens to
He
the
went
kid.
to barber college.
Is the kid in the car with the old man in the snow
Yeah,
drift?
but he kills the old man in the car, and that's the last we see of him. Or we assume he kills the old man. He attacks him. But
Maybe he became a ghost.
maybe, I don't know. But he was alive and killing old men the last we saw him. So
He just
But he wasn't
retired on
wearing a
Martha's
seatbelt
Vineyard.
when the car crashed.
no, but after the car crashed, he jumped out of the back seat and was killing the dude. Like he was fine.
Okay.
Finney don't fuck around.
He's
Maybe
still
this-
on the loose.
Maybe Plow King adopted him.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a silver lining to
He's
this
like,
story.
I always wanted a child who was housed in an adult mental institution to raise as my own.
and then sorry.
We cut to some sort of court proceeding. James's death is ruled a suicide. Afterwards, Ricky takes Dawn aside to talk. Meanwhile, a cop heads out to the house to take a look around for Gregory and the kid. He finds nothing but a raven. At the local
The
pub.
bird flies into his face.
That almost happened to me the other day.
And he's like, stupid birds.
I'm surprised he didn't fall out the fucking window.
Yes. He's like,
The
wait,
boarded up
let me
window.
unzip before you push me out.
I mean, honestly, if the bird had pushed the cop out the window, it would have fit the theme of this movie.
Why does this abandoned house have sugar pane glass?
Yeah. This movie is about height safety more than anything else.
It really is. You're right.
Produced
People
by
just stayed
OSHA.
Hang this movie in your collective breakthrough.
What if this movie was constantly playing in every workplace break room?
Then the world would be as crazy as I want it to be.
Yeah, in the way I want it to be crazy, because the world
Yes, in the way. You're right.
because the world is crazy, but not in the way I want it.
Yes, not in the way I want it. It should be wackier.
Yes.
More laughter.
Yeah. So yeah, at the local, he calls it a pub, but this looks like a cafe. Don and Ricky are having a talk.
Looks like an old malt shop. It looks like the malt shop they're in later.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's a diner.
Earlier.
Ricky calls it a pub. He's wrong.
He's wrong.
Don shows Ricky the old photo. Ricky looks at it pensively and doesn't say a word. I want to know how that conversation ended, because we cut away from the scene. Did he just look at the photo and then run? Like
He tap danced out of scene.
it's like you got to blind him with the razzmatazz.
Again, in the way that I want it to be.
Hits him with
I
the
wish
pocket
somebody
sand.
would shuffle ball step away from my table. I would give anything.
So,
For your next birthday, Josh.
Al, you got to start practicing
Tails.
now, Al.
Yeah. Like, all right, hey, I got this lunch. All right, cool, thanks.
Yeah. Later, back at his dad's house, Don finds Gregory Bate and the kid. They make some vague threats at him, give him a necklace, and leave.
And Greg Bates' outfit went from 0 to 100 in no time.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's a villain in a Conan movie with the fucking V that goes, the deep V.
And he drops down in that elevator from nowhere. It's like
No, he wrote it up because that's what Don is.
the little
Showmanship, man.
the elevator in the middle of the room.
Yeah, why
Or
is there an
hallway.
elevator in the middle of this house? There's only 2 stories.
It's a dumbwaiter. It's a gigantic
Yeah, it's
dumbwaiter.
I
not,
guess
yeah,
so.
I'm not that old Victorian.
Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe she
But
had
yeah,
like,
it does seem like it's only 2
shows
stories.
upstairs, and like that's how the artists arrived.
Well, what's hilarious is that he wants to make that elevator entrance. So Greg Bate gets in it, rides it to the top floor. Don comes out of the basement just so Bate can come
Drive
slowly
down
down.
the elevator.
I didn't even consider the blocking required for him to be upstairs.
Well, Don's in the basement and he hears
Yeah.
the elevator engage. So then he goes up, but just in time to see Bate
Coming-
lower down. So he had to have gotten in the elevator.
Well, and also he's like, all right, telling the kid, all right, you wait here behind the potted plant and jump out at him when we get nearer.
And keep this necklace in your mouth.
Yes, keep
Yeah, okay,
like you're in
so,
the end of
like,
Goonies.
Yeah, all the way in his mouth. The chain, the giant freaking gem that's like the size of his tongue.
That is a choking hazard if I've ever seen one.
That's why it was insane.
Again, OSHA. OSHA is all about this movie.
Why were these characters in the movie?
I don't, because they were in Peter Straub's book, I guess.
Needed 6 characters. It needed 4 old men and 2 twin boys and a ghost.
Yeah. Which is also
Sounds like a sitcom.
yeah, that's also the list for my orgy.
Don't recite the list again.
I'm gonna 4 old men. Yeah, okay. We're leaving the kid and the
The kid and the
mental
homeless.
and the
4 old
homeless
men, twin
mental
boys, and a
institution guy
ghost.
out of the orgy. I'm cool with that. That's fine.
It's about the family you choose.
All right, later, we cut to the Chowder Society meeting, telling ghost stories. Ricky tells the other 2 that Don found a picture of a lady. He wants to tell Don about something from their past. Sears says no. Don arrives, says he wants to be part of the Chowder Society. He's going to buy his way in with a story.
I love the buying your way into the Chowder Society with a story.
Yeah.
That was the coolest
That's
part
what
of this whole
reminds you.
movie.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
like, I want to buy my way in. And you're thinking, oh, he's going to give him the necklace. Like, no, with the story.
Yeah.
Wait, did we miss the scene where the cop puts out the APB on Greg Bate?
Mm-hmm.
And he sounds like he's hosting an NPR show. Just like, yeah, his name is Greg Bate. He is dangerous.
When they were talking on the
Possibly
radio,
armed.
Yes.
Yeah.
it was.
I was like, that's an all
weird.
points bulletin. Be on the lookout for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yeah. And now here's the smooth sounds of King Crimson.
I just discovered this stand-up Johnson, I think is his name. But his parents were massage therapists, and his whole set is like that. Hi, my name is Johnson, and both of my parents were massage therapists. That's why I talk like this. And I had seen him like 2 nights ago for the first time, and that's immediately I was like, I wonder if this guy's parents are massage therapists.
He's like, I'm just a small town cop trying to find love. And Greg Bate.
Yeah. It's going to be cloudy later today with a chance of storms.
With a possible chance of armed and dangerous.
Now over to you, Terry.
Very gross.
So yeah, Don starts telling his story. He was a professor in Florida. He met a woman employed as the secretary for a major university.
Just employed. She's the new secretary.
Yes.
He has been dating another teacher.
The music teacher, we find out, or chorus, choir teacher, something.
And then immediately sees this woman who looks at him and knows his name.
Yes.
And is smitten.
Immediately
Yeah.
smitten and
put a spell on.
immediately cheats on his girlfriend. Don, you suck.
I mean, they didn't seem
Maybe
like
they
they were
weren't
like that serious of a relationship.
But it's like the same
That was the late
day, isn't
70s.
it?
well, he had said, let's make plans for later.
Yeah. And he's like,
then
oh, I didn't mean together. I meant I was going to go make plans over
I'll call
here.
me and tell me your plan.
I'm going to fuck
got
the
plans.
ghost secretary.
Y-
You can
Okay,
come over
cool.
after.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a bottle of wine and call it a night.
Yeah. So,
She's probably thriving without Don around.
Oh, God,
That's all
yeah.
I have to say.
yeah,
Don's a heel.
Don sucks. Yeah. So yeah, he and the secretary Alma Mobley from Great Britain, it appears, they begin an affair. They have some unnecessarily acrobatic sex. The first,
Yeah.
neither.
And in the middle of it, she just keeps saying, "I want you." It's like, all right, I'm here.
Right.
We're in.
Yeah. And it is true that ice cream is the most sensual of the desserts.
When they're feeding each
Hers
other
is
ice
pudding.
cream, this shit was just, it went off the fucking rails.
Jude
Yeah,
was
it
like,
was unbearable.
Jude was like, what is this movie? Is this a horror movie? Is this like a weird 80s? Did it just become a rom-com? Like, what's
Were
happening?
we supposed to
Is this some kind of
believe
kissing movie?
that this was like a sensual moment between two human beings? Because I got none of that vibe.
No.
Yeah, two sexy parfaits.
And also, so the ghost moves to Florida,
Gets a job.
gets a job at a major university, learns apparently about all the stuff she missed from 1929 to 1979 culturally.
Wow, you're right.
Um,
It's very hip.
like,
The wall has been built. What? We fought a world war? What has been happening?
she's like, the pill. Do I need to get on the pill? Can I have ghost babies?
You're asking permission?
No, she
Right.
could just get a ghost abortion.
Yeah, in 79, that was a right.
Supposed for a world. Yeah.
Ghost death begins at conception.
Ghost death. All right.
Is
Get
that
up.
how you kill a ghost? You get them pregnant?
That's how you can crush their spirit.
Hey. Remember, condoms aren't just for preventing ghost pregnancies. They're also for preventing ghost sexually transmitted diseases.
Osha.
So, all right. And anyways, so she's weird and creepy a lot. He ignores it for a while until he just decides to stop ignoring it. And then he leaves her. She gets mad. Ghosts do not take breakups well.
don't take anything well. That's my biggest
They
problem.
don't. That's why they're ghosts.
Yeah, there's not one good spirit. Like, nobody has an anecdote about ghosts.
I was like, and he was really chill with getting murdered.
He's just like, I live here too. You know, long garbage day is Monday.
Like, it's all good. I get the left side of the fridge. I'll put my name on the milk.
Exactly. Every ghost has a fucking chip on their shoulder.
So yeah.
So he wanted to get married. He wanted to elope and go to Crete, get married in Crete or some other Greek island.
Yeah.
But she's very insistent. Like, no, I want to go to your hometown.
So what was her plan?
What else? Sultry
Yeah,
voice.
what was her plan?
Bury him in the hometown and then kill the Chowder Society?
Chowder heads.
No. She wasn't going to kill anybody until he broke up with her. It was about a spurned woman. She just wanted to get married and settle down and have a life together.
So
ghost life.
she's a ghost, but she's also a real lady.
Right? How do you be a... How does this work?
No, and like the funniest and most confusing is that she, that she was living a normal human life on a day-to-day. She even mentions how behind in their work they are.
Right?
I've got ghost paperwork up to my neck.
Oh my God, she's a ghost and she's doing paperwork and answering calls.
And she wasn't just always there. She got hired. And the dean acknowledged her. So she was,
She
temporal.
existed.
She wasn't an illusion. Yeah.
No.
I wish they had
and she
made-
interviewed for that job.
She should have been an illusion. That would have been really easy to do.
Like
We
if it
saw her
went
at her
back and
desk
nobody
one
saw her.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
They
there's
could have
another
done it.
lady,
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan did it.
and that lady says to him, "You, the dean's really mad. You slept with the secretary," and then she left. What?
And then
Yeah,
you even
disregarded
say
your
that?
work. Yeah.
Yeah, but what if instead, what if instead she'd been like,
she should have said, "Who?"
yeah, I'm the dean's secretary. What are you talking about?
There hasn't been a
sex.
secretary here in 30 years.
I would never let you feed me ice cream.
That paperwork is haunted. Yeah. His was ice cream. Hers was pudding.
Yeah, but instead she becomes a real girl. It's corporeal.
That's victory enough for a ghost. You get a
Right?
second chance at life. You can't be
And you
killed.
go back to the rat race.
Yeah, for real. Go to Crete. Spook people out on an island in Greece.
Yeah.
Relax.
Even as a ghost, I'd rather go to Crete than New England.
Or to start life all over again.
You got a job. You're
Fucking
dead.
typing up a
You're dead and you go get a job. What the fuck is wrong with you?
She interviewed for that job.
All right. So, anyways, she gets mad and then he gets fired from his teaching job due to neglecting his duties for Alma. So, he got fired. He was not doing his job. He was going to go to Crete anyways. His dad is definitely fucking loaded. He is living off his parents' money.
Trust fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a New England child.
Yeah. A waspy.
Not to stereotype an entire region of the country, but I assume that a lot of them are this rich.
Yeah.
Yes, it's where we founded the country. So,
Yeah.
yeah. You want to talk about
Old
old money.
Waspy old money, New England. His dad's the mayor of a New England town. Yeah. So he finds out that she never existed. Although when he goes in to her empty apartment, he finds a letter. I was like, did she leave him a letter? Was it like, Dawn, I'm sorry it didn't work out.
This isn't working out. You're a Scorpio and I'm a ghost.
P.S. I'm a ghost.
It'll never work. My ghost dad will never.
And
approve.
when she was being cold sometimes and being weird.
Moody.
Yeah, was that just her not holding it together, or was she I'm going to creep him out a little bit now?
And I'm going to ask him when he's going to get a new job.
Just so he knows it's not all ice cream and acrobatic sex.
Got to live in the real world. Ghost.
Yeah, he had sex with a ghost with a corporeal body. Not even Jack Nicholson got that far. Anyways, sometimes later, he gets a call from his brother in a bar. I guess he had his calls forwarded to the bar.
Did he get the call from his brother, or did he call his brother?
Maybe
I thought he called his brother.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Like he got real sauced and was like, I should call him and tell him that I fucked a ghost.
And his brother's like, me too. Isn't it awesome?
I fucked ghost. I liked it.
So, he says he met Alma. She's not upset with Dawn, but they fell in love and are now engaged. He hopes Dawn isn't upset. Dawn tries to warn him that she's a ghost lady, but David's like, you're just jealous. That's the same old story.
Yeah, that's what you said about my Jewish girlfriend, too.
Yeah. He tells the Chowder Society that the last time he saw her, she was wearing the necklace that Gregory Bate gave him. Dawn wants the Chowder Society and him to do something, tells them that the woman in the picture he found was Alma Mobley. The Chowder Society agrees, but James starts freaking out. His wife comes in and kicks out the others, angry that they upset her husband. That night, they all have nightmares again, with James being the worst of all. He attacks his wife in his sleep, but then falls back into a restless slumber before she's injured.
And they possibly filmed the actual Melvin Davis's Douglas's death.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God.
I couldn't tell if that was his wife or his caretaker.
I think it was his wife.
Because again, the age difference was pretty stark.
And everyone treated her like a maid, Millie.
Yeah, that's true.
I think we see Millie, though, in the flashback. I think that she's one of the two dames that are talking about.
But I'm with Al. It was vague. I couldn't tell if she was married to him or if she'd just always been maybe the good doctor's nurse or something.
Yeah, Jacqueline Brooks played Millie, a good 30 years younger than Melvin Douglas.
She looked like B. Arthur. Or she looked like Maud.
She did. Absolutely. Yeah. So she tells him about what happened the night before, the next morning, and that there's a lady waiting for him to see him as a doctor. He says, I don't see patients because I'm very old and should be retired.
Put on your glasses, doctor.
She goes down to tell the lady to leave, but the lady's disappeared. James starts having a heart attack. She calls 911 while he fumbles in his cabinets for pills, but before he can find any, the woman appears behind him and I guess amps his heart attack up to 11. I guess he was having a heart attack and then had more of a heart attack when he saw the ghost. A few days later, after his funeral, the remaining members of the Chowder Society gather with Don and tell him the story of what happened. In the spring of 1929, when they were young men, they met a rich British lady named Eva Galley. The townspeople clucked their tongues at her and her modern flapper ways. They hung out with her in bow ties and hats, frolicked.
Did anyone have a second where they didn't realize it was a costume party and there was just that dude dressed as a flapper dancing with himself?
Yeah, and I was like, is this just what it was like in the 20s?
I know, they're going to show us some dirty 20s shit. No, it was a costume party.
Yeah. They frolicked through fields in bow ties. They drank and sang barbershop quartet in bow ties.
And knee socks.
And what were they called? Knickers.
Knickerbockers.
Yeah, knickers, bloomers.
Yeah. What? I'm shocked that hasn't been brought back at any point.
I'm glad it hasn't.
Yeah. I can totally see some fucking Portlandia assholes trying to bring that shit back.
Those old timey bikes with the giant wheels.
Yeah. So yeah, she takes a shine to Edward. Edward's kind of weird about it, though. He's like, if you're not going to fuck all my bros, you're not going to fuck me at first.
Exactly. That's the weird element. Okay, you all love her, but only one. I don't know.
Yeah, were you really looking for a gangbang here, Ned? Like, is that
what you wanted?
Is that what we were
dudes
hoping
can just
for?
do it whenever you want.
Because it was weird. Like when they were in the field and like they were making out and like the others left, and he's like, no. If my bros can't make out with you two, I'm just gonna go with them.
Yeah, and it implies that that the female has no say or whatever. It's like, we'll choose who's the best suitor for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But now the woman will choose which of you knuckleheads,
if any.
If any.
Yeah.
You mean chowder heads?
So yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, she and Edward do try to sleep together at some point, but Nettie has some problems performing.
Little Nettie goes to war.
Yeah. Yeah. So
the three others are like singing outside.
Did they know Ned was there?
Keep a boner if
yeah. Did they know? Were they coming like, Ned'll love it if we sing to him while he has sex?
Sweet Anna, my Anna.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't just turn on like Barry White or the Lowriders oldie show.
The only way to woo a woman,
your buddies had to sing out front of the door.
The only way to woo a woman then was to have your friends come over and sing to her outside while you did it.
I put two eyes of blue.
So yeah. Later they all get drunk together. He lies and says that the sex was great. They all drunkenly.
Awesome. He said awesome.
It was awesome. Yes. Totally tubular. Although 81 was prior to awesome becoming part
the word
of.
still.
Yeah. It still had the original
meant
meaning. Yeah.
Yeah. Full of awe.
Even when the film was made, much less in 1929.
Yeah. It's like, really? That cheeseburger filled you with awe? But it's one of my favorite words.
Oh, yeah.
I misuse it.
Proclaims that she's a goddess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And obviously there's not another slightly eligible bachelorette in town.
Yeah. Well, except the two that they insult at the costume party.
Yeah. These dudes, man.
Right.
Who I think
There's
they
just a
were
love
their
of each
future
other.
wives. That's just me.
I think so.
Yeah, I think they were.
I think they settled after they killed this, bro.
Like, well, we're not going to kill the next ones, all right, guys? Can we all agree on that?
We've
Ghost
learned
me
our
once.
lesson.
So Ricky and his wife, they've only been married 32 years.
Oh, that's true. So that was what? That's like the 70? That's like the 40.
The 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40, 48,
Yeah. 40,
49.
somewhere
20
in there.
years after this.
Yeah. Well, because Wikipedia says this takes place in 1979.
Oh,
Even
I was
though the
going to
movie
say,
came
I
out
thought
in
it took
81.
place in the 70s.
Yeah.
Did all of these guys avoid going to war?
It seems
Probably.
like it. None of them are mentioned, although, I mean, they would have been in their 30s then, but that didn't really matter. Tom,
Yeah, no.
like they were taking dudes into their 40s for World War
Oh, yeah.
II.
Anybody.
Well,
Like the Civil War.
from the poors, obviously.
Well, yes.
All right.
I mean,
yeah, no, I bet they didn't. I bet they all avoided it.
There were
because
some, there were
that
some
would have
rich
been
guys.
an
that-
easy thing to tie into this,
Yeah.
like the trauma of serving overseas.
There were
and
Yeah,
some-
they would have more stories.
there were some rich guys that got to be officers and hang out in London.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah. So they head over to her house. They want to have a drunken gangbang. That's what it seems like they're after.
Yeah, it does.
She's she's not too pleased to see him, but she invites them in. They do some dancing. After she seems to be getting tired of it, they're going to leave. But Sears, who's a real shithead, wants his dance. And then she starts getting mad and she kisses each of the guys. and then is going to tell them what happened with Ned and his performance. But rather than admit that he couldn't get a boner, Ned pushes her into the fireplace, and she seemingly she hits her head and goes unconscious. James,
I mean, it was the 20s. Weren't white guys allowed to kill like 2 or 3 people?
that's what I was saying. Like,
weren't you allowed to?
like, thank God it's the 30s. We can get away with this.
Yeah,
Just
You
another
can kill
punch in your
women.
murder card.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we kill chicks sometimes.
We're 4 upper crust white dudes in New England. We can kill 5 or 7 ladies a year.
Yeah, it didn't take Wall Street and cocaine for that to start.
She says to Sears, dance with me, you little toad.
Yeah.
Which that line comes up later.
Yeah, it does.
So
So
do we think he intended to kill her or just
no,
No,
just
which is
push her around a little
it
bit?
was an accident. He just wanted
It was
her
an
to.
accident.
He just like panicked, struck out, was like no, and like he didn't intend to kill her.
I think it would have been more powerful if they murdered her.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I thought it was weird. Died of a traumatic head injury because he pushed her instead of like he didn't push her down the stairs or out of a fucking window.
oh, out of a
And they-
window.
Oh, right.
That would have been interesting.
They
But
didn't
she-
give. Yeah, you're right. That would have been.
But she didn't even die from the
She didn't.
traumatic head injury.
She didn't. So they decide rather than going to the cops that they're going to dispose of the body.
So the doctor, right? The doctor takes her pulse and is like, "There's no pulse."
Yeah,
Which is what they repeat to themselves
Yeah.
over and over.
yeah. The doctor says that to himself. There was no pulse. There was no pulse. Like he clearly
Is he
has.
still that bad of a doctor?
No, the guilt. Like I thought she was dead. And I was the doctor. I was going to be the doctor, and I told them all she was dead. And you know what I mean? The guilt of like,
Yeah.
if I had either done more closely or checked again, she might have had a pulse. And
He's like,
That's an easy call to make though. Like even with a faint pulse, you can feel it. It was just weird that he's like, no pulse.
yeah. Well,
I think he had a specific guilt.
he definitely did. But I mean, he was drunk. He was just a medical student, and it was 1929. They barely knew what a pulse was. They only discovered it.
Your mouth was just a tube to your butthole.
Yeah. So they put her in her car, drive her to a lake, and push the car into the lake. As it's sinking, she pops up still alive and drowns to death instead of already being dead.
And Ned tried to run in after her, right? Was it Ned?
Yeah. Yeah, tried to run in
Yeah.
after her, but he didn't get far. He didn't try that hard. He
No,
could have
he
swam in and swam down and pulled her out, and they might have been. Well, they didn't have CPR then, but
Really, he couldn't get his tie wet.
that's right. It simply wasn't done.
It just wasn't. Yeah. But yeah, it's just, it was shitty what they did afterwards, but her death, at least to them, was an accident. It just doesn't seem like enough meat for such a vengeance haunting. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, they didn't give me a proper burial. They didn't. They didn't
It was
handle
a
it
petty
well.
haunting instead of like a serious, yeah.
Like
Like poltergeist.
You know,
well, that's what they say is that
bitches be haunting.
Bitches be haunting. That's true. That's true. Look it up.
But yeah, no, you're right. It was petty. It was an accident upon an accident.
Yes.
And I get
bad choices.
I get being upset by that as
I do too.
Yeah,
Well, it's
being on
different
the
than
receiving
murder.
end.
Right.
I would get a job in Florida and fuck a set of twins and push one out a window, and maybe
Okay.
kill a father, and then maybe kill another guy in a snowbank.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a good time. Yeah.
and maybe go to California, get a couple escaped mental patients, bring them
Man
back
and
to
a
New
child.
England. This ghost did a lot of stuff. Like a
Wait,
lot.
did she help them escape?
Maybe.
Do you think she
But you're
pushed
right.
like the orderlies out the window or something? I don't know how she would. Maybe she got a job as an orderly.
She had
Yeah,
multiple.
Maybe she spent all 50 years trying to recruit some homeless people.
Well, and
That's what
also,
I'm talking about.
and let's not forget, she then went to New York to meet the brother. She probably got another job in New York in another
Yes.
apartment and started dating the brother.
That's the implication. Yeah, that she has to live a mortal life to get things rolling.
Or do ghosts just take things? Are they just like, no, I'm taking this apartment. I'm a ghost. I'm taking this job.
I don't.
I'm a
I think
ghost."
she filled out an application and had a credit check done.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, I always thought they could live simultaneously with mortals, but I guess they need their own address. Social security purposes.
Well, and when he shows up at her apartment in Florida, everything's gone. But like, was that ghost furniture, or did she call some movers and have them pack it up and move it to New York?
No, she used the ghost JCPenney catalog.
The more we ask these questions, the more I enjoy this movie because it's fucking bonkers. None of this makes any sense.
No, none of
Like
it.
it's so easy to just like tie a thread through this whole movie, but they just chose not to.
Yeah.
Well, and Straub was he was verbose like Stephen King. So I'm sure a lot of this shit is in there, but yeah.
Yeah, it did not.
Greg Bait. Let's give him a name and that's it.
Yeah, I'm sure the book makes a lot more sense than this movie does.
I hope. But I meant with these little details. Like, yeah. How did she get them out of this? Out of this uni-age asylum.
Back in the present, Ricky and Sears tell Dawn that the Chowder Society agreed never to talk about it again, not even with each other, due to her reputation as a harlot. The townsfolk were glad she was gone and assumed she simply left town. But no British, no family members, no British people. No one came and said, "Hey, this rich British lady done disappeared. You guys seen her?"
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That time, I think young white guys could kill,
Yeah, it's 29. They're like, rich British ladies disappear all the time.
She was mouthy.
Yeah. So, Ricky and Dawn believe that Alma and Eva are definitely the same woman. Her ghost has returned to seek revenge. They go to Eva's old house to confront the past and her ghost once and for all. But when they get there, Dawn, again, OSHA, falls through the stairs.
Just stay on the ground.
Were those ghost stairs? Did she do that to him?
Yeah. I don't
Because
know.
it seemed like that happened to him, not like, oh, it just so happened that this was the time that those stairs gave out.
Because we saw both.
She yoinked them.
We saw both the cop and Fred Astaire go up and down those stairs just fine. And we have to assume that Greg and the weird little kid did also. Yeah.
Yeah. And the kid did it in heels.
Okay,
And backwards.
And backwards.
So I have a question. She seemed, when she was Eva and not Alma, she seemed rather ghostly already.
Right. She was creepy when she was a live lady.
She seemed ethereal and like, where did she come from? Where's she going?
I wondered, is this her first time being a ghost or maybe her second or third time being a ghost?
She's an old hat at ghosting. She's one of those girls.
Ghost slut.
Yeah.
She was brought over on a boat from England.
She was already a ghost. She was going to New England to set up a job to get some other guy when these guys accidentally murdered her. And she's like, well, now I've got to do them.
She immigrated.
It's an endless cycle of ghosting.
She came over to Ghost Ellis Island.
With her ghost passport.
She's like, you have to do it by the book. I can't just be a ghost and show up. I have to go through immigration, get a job.
I can't just rent an apartment.
All right. So, Don and Ricky wait there while Sears leaves to get help. But while driving through the snowstorm, he sees an apparition of Eva in the road. He closes his eyes, drives straight through it. The ghost doesn't make him crash, but the snowplow does.
The ghost plow.
Yeah.
Ghost plow.
And that poor snowplow driver is like, another one?
Oh, now I'm the town's lawyer, too.
Every time
I got to stop seeing people die.
in this town, every time you see someone die, you get their job.
It's in the charter.
So, the crash does not kill Sears. He's fine. But then out of the backseat jumps the creepy kid who we assume kills him and then runs off into the woods, never to be seen again.
Also, it's snowing out, and this kid is in a dress.
Yeah.
Still?
We only ever saw him in the dress.
Okay.
He's from California. He didn't know how to pack.
California girls are undeniable. California escaped mental institution
Daisy
patients
Dukes.
are.
Bikini top.
Oh, wait. No. The kid got back into the snowplow.
The snowplow guy gave the kid a ride back to town.
No. What's the snowplow guy levels up? Then that kid has to be the snowplow.
Oh God!
That's how this town works.
He's like, I watched
Greg Bate is the doctor now.
Everyone levels up.
I watched you kill the guy, so then I become the lawyer and you become the snowplow driver.
First I was the mayor.
The
then I was
circle of life.
And now you're the plow guy.
Kid's like, oh well.
I love this form of government.
That's how the ghost became the secretary.
She saw the original secretary die.
Employment by combat, I guess.
Yeah. Ricky realizes something's wrong with Sears because it's been too long. So he leaves to get help. He gets picked up by Gregory Bate, who tells him that Eva's plans are to kill them all, and he's going to be a ghost guy, I guess, after that.
So he's not a ghost.
He's not a ghost. Ricky stabs him to death at this point. He's not a ghost.
He is not a ghost. He just happens to show up at the right time.
I guess he was waiting and was like, oh, there's Ricky. Gotta go get him.
The ghost did say that Ricky would walk out.
If I watch him die, then I get to be the dancer.
I was going to say, he had to wait for the kid to plow the whole town.
When the kid's done plowing, I can pick up Ricky and then I'll get to marry Ginger Rogers.
It's like, look, these streets are not going to plow themselves. School's coming.
So, yeah, he stabs Gregory to death and they crash. Ricky's fine, though. That shot of Fred Astaire just crouching in the upside down car. I was like, he just now crawled in there and refused to get on his knees. He's like, I'm not getting my pants dirty, guys.
I loved this sequence, though, of him like pulling out the knife that we saw him take from his drawer. Also, these are white men in New England.
Mm-hmm.
How do they not have revolvers?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
He grabs a paring knife. He's like, I'm going to stab this ghost with a paring knife just in case. Or maybe Greg Bate.
He's like, it's more elegant to stab a man to death than to shoot him. You have to have certain standards.
Radish rosettes.
Ricky goes and gets the cops. I don't know why the cops are like Ricky can make the cops do anything. Because again, rich old guy in New England.
He just murdered a guy in his car.
Yeah, this is the second murder Ricky has been a part of, by the way.
He calls the cop. Hey, Ricky. This is Milburn Police Station.
This one was self-defense,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it was self-defense, but it's still a court date.
Yeah. This needs to go through the justice system for sure. You got picked up hitchhiking and then stabbed the driver to death, and you claim that he was trying to kill you.
Well, you are an old rich guy in New England, and this guy's from California, so I guess you're okay.
And a fabulous dancer.
Ignore all that, officer. Let's go dredge this pond.
There's a corpse at the bottom in a car. Don't ask me how I know.
Should we wait for spring?
No.
Wouldn't this make him seem more guilty for the murder he just committed right now?
Yeah. So sheriff, I just killed an escaped mental institute or mental patient. We need to go pull a car out of a lake that has a corpse in it. Don't ask questions.
They are completely unrelated.
Completely.
Today on All Things Considered.
He's like, all right, let me ask my secretary about it. I just hired her.
She's doing some ghost paperwork.
What a twist.
Yeah, so he goes, they pull the car out of the lake. This is intercut with Dawn. Alma is very, very slowly coming down the stairs, walking towards him, taunting him.
In a wedding dress, right?
In a wedding dress. She's like, you asked me to marry you, Dawn. I take that seriously.
This whole end of this movie makes no goddamn sense. It's like they ran out of ideas and they were like, we need to get the car out of the water and have
Like
a
Melvin
ghost.
Douglas died.
You'd think she would be after Ricky more than Dawn because Ricky was part of the crew that killed her.
Or Sears. He's the biggest asshole. He kind of started it. Everyone was going to leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, no, I want my dad.
Well, Sears is already
everyone
dead.
had left.
Yes.
Oh, you're right. He's dead at that point. You're right.
Yeah.
But he is the worst.
But Ricky's the only one left. You think she'd be after Ricky? It would have made more sense if Ricky was in the house and Dawn was out getting the car pulled out of the water. That would have made a lot more sense, actually.
That would have made a lot
Yeah,
more
I was going to say, have Ricky be the one who goes back, tries to save her in the flashback scene instead of Ned. Because he's the one who's empathetic this whole movie anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of a dick from the get-go. Ricky
Yeah.
is like, let me tell you about Sidewalk.
Yeah. If Ricky had been trying to save her and she's like, fuck you, you're cool.
You're cool. Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, as they pull the car out, he opens the door and Eva's rotting corpse falls out and starts like melting into the ground. And her ghost disappears. Dawn is safe. We get one last matte painting of the town and credits roll.
This is such a weird... So her body needed to be pulled out of the water for her ghost to go away?
All proper burial, right? Isn't that a common
I think
ghost?
that's
But
kind
like
of...
she hadn't even been buried. She's just...
I think she just wanted the world to know what happened to her. I guess. I don't know.
Or I mean, because it seems like a resting place would be her only real motivation. Because, like we said, her death was an accident.
I just wish there
essentially.
was more tying this in thematically in some way instead of
I
just.
agree.
And now her body's on the ground and her face is falling off her skull.
She's fine. Yeah.
If it had been a murder plot, it would have made everybody's nightmares make more sense. It would have made her haunting make more sense. It would have made the multi-generational haunting make more sense.
If
they covered up an accident poorly.
Yeah, if
Not okay, but
yeah, still a crime, but also like what if
there was no evil involved. There was no malice really involved.
There was
dude didn't want her to say he was a limp dick, so he pushed her, and then it just kind of goes from there. Whereas, like, if they had planned to kill her, they're like, oh well, if a single one of us can't have her, then nobody can have her, kind of thing.
Yeah,
like a perfect or a simple plan type deal.
Yeah, if she had like met another man in town instead of all four of them and they killed her.
They find out she's a lesbian or something.
Yeah.
Something like where she's unattainable and they didn't realize that, so they feel like they've been lied to. That happens with dudes a lot.
She's married to some royalty in England or something.
Yeah, just anything that
she was more mysterious before she died. Then she died and she's got normal 9-to-5 jobs. She
was a mysterious rich lady from England who came to this town in Vermont. Yeah.
And then she died and she became an average American working.
She never worked until she was a ghost.
Oh my God. That's insane.
And like Thoreau said, she had to learn herself an awful lot of information in that gap. Everything from typewriters to telephones.
She had to learn how to answer phones, how to type.
Dictograph, all kinds of shit.
She had, once they were in her apartment, she was warming herself on an electric heater. That's not ghostly. Did she go and buy that electric heater at Ace Hardware?
Yeah.
There wasn't enough water in this movie. Being that she was rotting at the bottom of a pond.
Yeah, there was water here and there, but it didn't hit you in the face as being a theme.
Yeah. You're right. Heights more than water, and it should have been water more than heights.
Davis, right, should have fallen into the pool instead of hitting the pool deck.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
You know, Ned, he kind of fell into the ice. It didn't
Fell into
shatter.
He felt
Well,
like
but you get the impression. You see the water starting to
Yeah.
pool around him. You get the idea he sinks through. But you're right.
But he should have fallen under and disappeared, you know?
Have that moment of gasping for air.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
If she's a ghost and she's haunting them, and that's how she died, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they had done like you said, Brian, and like pushed her out of a window or pushed her off of a high spot, a widow's watch or something, and she dies, then that would make sense. But
Greg Bate should have tried drowning Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should have.
There was water as subtext. Just in,
He
as
should have driven them
symbolism,
into the.
but-
Why didn't they not drive into the lake?
Yeah.
He should have said, she told me invincible if I died, and I had to drive you into the lake.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
And they'd be in the lake.
Yeah.
And he would have stabbed him to death, and he'd climb out of the car and tell the police, don't worry about this car. That guy's dead. Get this
But
dead
you're right.
body out
Even
of
the
water."
doctor has his heart attack. You know, it starts in the bathroom when he's shaving. So you also could have incorporated water there.
Yeah.
Would have,
He
that would have been a
just-
cool Shining style with the blood
Yeah,
coming out the
falls
elevator,
into a
with
bathtub
water.
that has water inexplicably in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a heart attack.
Yeah.
and
Just a heart
guy
attack.
falling out of a window and a guy jumping off of a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, heights
Yeah.
seem to have more to do with it than water.
This movie's so scattered; it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's kind of a shame because it had a lot of elements that could have worked really well.
It really did. Yeah. Yeah.
Good performances.
It was. Yeah. This was definitely a movie that did not hold up to my memory, my childhood memory of it.
Well, and our resolution is the ghost is gone.
Yeah.
Nobody learns a fucking lesson. In
Did
this
Fred
movie.
Astaire get arrested? Like he should have. He should have gotten arrested. He should have.
He
at
just
least,
murdered a guy.
He just murdered a guy, and he
And
knows
dredged up
where
the
this
evidence.
corpse is. There's no statute of limitations on murder. They need to
I thought the same
investigate.
thing.
They need to investigate
no
the corpse
statute of
they found, no
limitations.
matter what. Yeah.
And like you said, she waited 50 years to give an 89-year-old a heart attack.
Yeah.
What?
He got to live a full life. Like, why weren't you going after them in the
And he-
30s?
He died in one of the most natural ways you can die. There's nothing,
An old
crazy
man.
about it.
He was an
Yes.
old man who died of a heart attack. Yeah.
Anyone could die of a heart attack. It's
Well,
not
yeah.
weird. It's not sad.
What if she was like? What
It
if,
is.
What if she
She
was?
could have gotten a job at the draft office and gotten all four of these guys drafted.
Sent to, yeah,
War
Normandy.
and died in Normandy.
She's like, well, listen.
1A.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, she's great at paperwork and filing. And
She was like, well, listen, okay. First it was the Depression, then World War II. I really wanted to give this,
look, there was hard times.
like it was hard for everybody. I didn't want to bug them while all of that
I didn't
was
want to
going
make
on.
it more depressing.
Then in the 50s,
was
they started
already
getting
great.
married and they had kids. And I was like, well, you know what? If I date the kids when they grow up, that'll make it all.
Luckily, he had twins.
Yeah. So the one didn't work out. So I went after the other twin.
So none of these other characters have children that we see in the movie.
Yeah.
That we
Not that we
see.
see.
Because there are, now that we're talking about it, there are so many moving parts. She chose Ned's children to date, but if they all had children, would she have dated all of their children?
Interesting. I think the only one who didn't have kids was Sears.
Yeah.
Maybe Ricky did.
He seemed like a confirmed bachelor, maybe.
But yeah, because Ricky didn't have kids, but he was married. And the
We
doctors
didn't meet-
might have had kids.
Sears' wife, right? We don't meet a
No.
old lady for him.
He's
at
the
all,
only
but we
one
meet
who-
Ricky's old lady.
We see a picture of Ned's wife. We meet the other two wives, but we don't learn anything about Sears's family.
I don't think he ever. I think he was always a chauvinist. Like
He's like, yeah.
like
He
piece of
loved
shit.
power. He wanted to
Yeah.
be the mayor.
Right.
So he,
Wait, he wanted to be the
No, he was a
president
lawyer.
at some day,
No,
right?
Ned wanted to
Oh,
be.
Ned
Ned's the
wanted to be
politician. Sears is the lawyer, and he's the one that, doesn't seem to have had any close relationships.
yeah. And Ricky was the dancer. Because we never find out what his job was. He didn't have
No.
a job. He was just Ricky.
Yeah. That old soft shoe.
Yeah. So
He's Mr. Bojangles.
Esquire.
So he's a dancing lawyer.
yeah. So all right. Any last thoughts? Any more unanswered questions? There were so many.
It was a fun watch. I had never seen it before, and like you said, it didn't quite hold up to your memory, but that was kind of the fun of it, to see what they tried to make as scary.
Yeah, and it was a medium successful film from the early 80s. So it's always interesting to watch films that aren't classics from another era.
And I like silver screen actors. I like old-time Hollywood actors.
Yeah.
This is
Stewart's
interesting
my favorite.
because there are elements of horror, but it's more of a scary story than
It's a ghost
horror.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once it's all said and done, that's what it was, and it makes sense. But then storytelling wise, they
So,
fucked up a couple.
This makes me wonder, who's the guy that made Joker?
Todd Phillips.
Yeah.
Todd Phillips, where he was talking about like, I can't make a movie like what's the one about Las Vegas? Son of a bitch. The Hangover. He's like, I couldn't
Yeah.
make a Hangover movie today. I wonder if this was the director going like, everybody wants slasher horror. I couldn't just tell a ghost story today.
Mm.
I think that had a lot to do with Peter Straub writing it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think he tried to take horror back to that. Like, it's just people telling stories around a fire, which essentially is what human storytelling is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he tried to bring it back.
I think he was definitely trying to go for an old style, like ghost story, like Haunting of Hill House kind of thing.
He's like, my friend in contemporary, is into haunted cars and evil dogs. I'm just going to write a ghost story.
He's like, what if
We
a
mentioned-
ghost?
We mentioned the effects much earlier, and said we'd get back to it when she gets pulled out of the pond.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That, I mean, it was 4:00 in the morning, and it got me queasy.
Mm.
It was a queasy moment.
She was very
Soft skin.
Yeah, she was very squishy looking.
Yeah.
Very squishy.
At no moment did her corpse stop moving.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we roll to credits as her skin is like floppity flop on
Yeah.
the ground.
Well,
Ugh.
what's the word I'm looking for? But yeah, just sort of
Yeah.
running off of her body.
If
Yeah, and it
anything's-
was.
If anything's going to haunt me from this movie, it's probably that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I want.
Well,
I want to know what Ricky does for a living. That's what's gonna haunt.
I
But
just want to know how she got the job as a secretary.
that's why it was weird in David's apartment, and we see that was so early on. It was like as if Kubrick started The Shining with the bathroom scene with
Yes.
the witch in the tub. You
Yeah,
know, it's like,
exactly.
whoa, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just looking through this. They actually filmed this on location in upstate New York, Saratoga Springs, in Woodstock, Vermont, Albany, New Smyrna Beach, Florida, and in
I've been there.
in New Smyrna Beach.
Yeah.
Hey, were you like this?
I've been to Saratoga Springs in Albany.
And in New York City on location. There was one scene and it was all indoors. Why did they have to go to New York to film it?
I mean, there's probably an
Skyline, baby.
establishing shot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I think that's about it for Ghost Story. That's our first Haunted Phosphorescence this year. We're doing them in release date order. So this was our earliest movie, came out in 1981. Our next movie that we're going to be doing next week is 1985's Transylvania 65000.
Woo.
Yeah, starring Mr. Jeff Bridges and Ed Begley Jr.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. God damn it.
And Gina Davis.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Gina Davis.
Gina
So
Davis.
looking forward to that one. That's another one I haven't seen since the 80s. So
Same.
I loved it. I watched it a lot then, though.
yeah. So next week we'll see how well Al's memory of it hold up. Mine didn't go too well.
I don't remember it at all. So it's all gonna be better than
And
I
it's
remember.
It's a play on a song from the 20s. or
Yeah.
30s. Pennsylvania
Yeah.
65000.
Which they talk about in Young Frankenstein, or they reference in Young
Yeah.
Frankenstein. Yeah. So that is next week on Haunted Phosphorescence. Until then, gentlemen, before you go, I would like to propose a toast to us, the Bisque Society.
The Bisque Society.
This is Heroes Throw Smiley.
I'm Josh Cece, and I ain't no Freud.
I'm Brian Lesh, and I'm going to go have sex with a ghost.
I'm Al Eric Weber, and yes, my mustache is chocolate ice cream.
It tastes
30
like chocolate
years.
ice cream, Al. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.